Is it time to upgrade from your old Kindle, this is the first generation of Paperwhite, to the latest one? Well, it might well be this year because Amazon will actually give you 20 quid off your new device if you trade in your old one. This is the first generation of Kindle Paperwhite. Actually my wife's one, although I do have one as well. And as you can see, this one is my 6th Kindle. I don't remember buying that many Kindles. There are some significant upgrades, and the first of which will be immediately obvious to you, is going to be the choice in the light. In the old Kindle, you only had choice of the blue light, and I didn't really realize that was an issue at first, but now you can have this choice of warmer or colder light, and most of the time you'll probably run it over here on the warmer end. There's also the auto brightness, and there is a little light sensor at the top here which will actually adapt the brightness when you're reading, which is a really useful thing, and that isn't the case on the old one. The other big upgrade is this is now a 300 dots per inch screen, whereas this is somewhere in the region of 200, which is perfectly fine for reading still. As you see, it's still working perfectly fine and syncing across the Kindle apps, which is one of the great benefits of a Kindle. And one reason I really wanted to try the latest Paperwhite out was that this screen is going to be a similar screen to the screen that will be in the Kindle Scribe. And I wanted to know, well, what is the big deal about this 300 dots per inch screen? It is a lovely screen, and having the adaptive brightness and all the LEDs on this front lit screen, which mean that it's a really pleasant viewing experience, is a really good thing. I have really enjoyed it. Another big difference is that this screen is not flush with the rest of the device. It's slightly recessed, and this is a much more modern and clean look. It is a flush screen. I do also really like reading on the dark mode, although I do have to question whether reading on an OLED screen actually with the lights turned right down, which this is how I will actually read at nighttime. This is how bright the screen will be if I read on my OLED screen at nighttime. This much light, and I can see it and read it perfectly comfortable at night. You can't really see it right now against this, but whereas these lights, even in dark mode, I'm going to be running these lights down here at 4, and that is going to mean that those LEDs are all still on, because of course it's a reflective screen. With an OLED screen, the only pixels that are turned on are those white pixels. So Kindle on an OLED screen with dark mode is actually a tiny amount of light. That is not an amount of light which is going to strain your eyes, and that is not an amount of light which is going to keep you awake, even if it's blue light. Still though, reading on a reflective screen is a great pleasure, a much more natural experience. One thing I'm thinking about, and I'm not so impressed with about the Kindle Paperwhite, is that this device should really be very, very thin. I mean, this is a expensive e-reader. This is the Paperwhite Signature Edition, and really I would expect it to be just a few millimeters thin. Now the problem with that is it would then mac on their Oasis device. I got it with this lovely cork cover. It's an absolute pleasure to use that. It does feel like a very modern device. Another improvement, there are lots of settings to really get things right just how you want them. Lots of choice about the way the device behaves, including one that I really like is it actually can change between warm and colder light at different times during the day. And the other thing is at night it will gradually reduce the screen brightness as your eyes get used to the darkness. That's really nice. And this is the device that I'm hoping is going to get me back into reading properly, because for a long time I've been reading only really from Audible books as I drive to work, which has been great. It's been a real pleasure, but this device I'm hoping can get me back into reading properly. One of the great things about it is that it now includes Bluetooth to speakers, and so you can actually join an Audible book at the same point as you are reading immediately. Having it alongside an Audible subscription, or indeed just the Kindle Unlimited subscription, will give you access to a lot of professionally read ebooks as well. So having it alongside an Audible subscription is a really good idea, because it will automatically link your accounts, and it will tell you if there are some professionally read audiobooks for that same book, and you can just jump into the car or plug in your headphones wherever you are and start reading it from this device at the same point. Start listening to it at the same point. And of course the other way around, you get out of the car, want to start reading it physically, and you're at the same point in the book. So far I'm really enjoying the way that you think when you read. Now when you read a book, you're actually processing a lot more than just the words on the page. You're actually applying it to yourself consistently, and that is something that you don't do as much whilst you're listening to an audiobook. And this is the reason why the Kindle Scribe is going to be so compelling for many of you. You can be reading physically and you're kind of writing that onto yourself in your own situation as you're reading, applying what you're learning to what you are personally doing and producing at the time, is a real benefit of physically reading over audiobooks. And of course it's the same for videos. So whilst reading is a very active thing, engaging your brain and helping you make new knowledge, videos and listening to audiobooks is actually a passive thing, and you should see it as being sort of two separate activities. My personal thoughts are that this is why those Eink tablets with stylus input have really taken off, is people are enjoying the use of an e-reader that you can immediately make notes, do your work, be productive directly on that same device that you're enjoying consuming information. Check out some of my latest reviews and comparisons of Eink tablets just here. That reading time is a real luxury. The kind of slow scanning of your eyes across the page is a real pleasure that I think I'd kind of forgotten. I'm very much enjoying reading before bed again. I think I'd really forgotten how useful it is to read to help you kind of drift off into that relaxed sleep. I'm also very much enjoying the control and variation over the typeface that you get with this device. You can also, of course, link to your family's accounts so you can share books that way, and importantly for us, in the near future, setting up accounts for your children as our children learn to read as well. There are good reasons why the Kindle is the most popular reading device. So this has just been a very quick kind of my first thoughts after using this for a couple of weeks. I'm going to keep with this, and I'm going to do some comparisons of the Paperwhite with some other Kindle devices, also with other e-ink tablets and e-readers as well. So stay tuned for that.